Vicky McCall, the Creative Director of Socialudo, and welcome, Facilitator, to the Pathways Paradox walkthrough. You are embarking on a bit of a journey. You're taking my job, and you're going to be facilitating a room full of people through the homelessness system with our amazing game, the Pathways Paradox, which is about navigating the systems of housing, benefits, employment, support services for people experiencing homelessness. And you're going to be doing that via our serious game. And it is a serious topic, but people are allowed to have fun, and it's good to remind them that they can have fun. And you're providing a way for this quite diverse group that you'll have to creatively explore problems together and produce solutions that allow people to step out of their everyday roles. Yes, it is your job to shake them up somewhat. That's okay. And the Pathways Paradox will simulate real-world challenges faced by individuals experiencing homelessness. And we've developed that game with Social Bite. And it's good to remind people in the room that these are real lived experiences that are very typical of the Social Bite Jobs First programme. And that gives it a bit of power in terms of a serious game. So it's an interactive, thought-provoking environment that you're willing and hoping to embark upon for participants to step into the shoes of those navigating the complex systems related to housing and employment. And the idea is to have that person-centered and person-led approach in the game that tackles stigma and builds empathy for people caught up in this really complex system. And one of the things that you'll want to do as a facilitator is say that at the beginning of the game and just warn people, because it's very likely that some people may have experiences of the homelessness system or have worked in the homelessness system and have a big connection to it. So there's a little bit of a trigger warning around this game. What I would say at the start is just say this can feel very real. People can take a minute, and if they've kind of been affected by the game, to shout on you as the facilitator. I think that's a really important element to say at the beginning, but then remind them that that's why this game is a serious game, and the lived experiences are what makes it quite powerful. But I think you just keep that in mind as a facilitator. It's grounded in co-production with Social Bite. That makes it powerful, but it can also be quite affecting. And how to play the game is that you try to outline the aim of the game of increasing well-being by securing sustainable income and housing. The people in the room will have to go and navigate this simulated environment you've created to secure a sustainable tenure and a job. A job that's 3-star as well, kind of a high quality job. And you'll have set up the room already before people come in. Ideally, if you have one game, it's about 20 to 30 people that you would be playing with, and you've broken them up into 4 tables, and that would be the community services, the housing providers, the government services, and the employers. You would have set that up with all the criteria already at the tables, connected to what area of resources that you want them to be providing, whether it's housing or universal credit, etc. You want everybody spread out evenly. If you have less than 20 people, don't hesitate to give some people 2 lived experiences to navigate, especially maybe the more confident ones. And that keeps them busy as well, and keeps the amount of resources right in terms of not being too generous around the room. You can be quite versatile and flexible with this game, adjusting it to the number that you have in the room. And you can take that prerogative as a facilitator. When you're introducing the game, don't worry that people are like, oh my goodness, what's happening? That's very, very common. They will tend to feel a little bit unsure in the first round, in the first turn. And the main thing is you can give them your big introduction. We've got slides provided for you to go through as well. And feel free to give them the introduction, and then in turn 1, go around to each table and make sure, especially the decision maker, knows what's happening. And what I tend to do is take one of the vignettes with me if there's one spare, or I keep one spare, just to show people and point to the bits that they need. And the main thing is when you go around the tables with each facilitator that's making the decisions at each table, make sure they know where the criteria is and what they can give out. It is actually just a quite simple game at its heart. It's just people need to have a few minutes to get used to it. And at turn one, they absolutely capture it. And just to make sure they're reading what's in front of them is essentially what you need to do as a facilitator. So once you've set up, everybody's at their tables. What you'll be wanting to do is encourage one or two people, depending on your numbers, to stay at that table and become the decision makers. They're going to give out the resources, the housing, or whatever it is, the community services. The rest of the people pick up a lived experience vignette and they become homeless, and they're going to navigate the system. The easiest way to start your turn one, though, is to get them to stay at the table that they're in. So start the discussion. When I say people go, I get them to introduce themselves first and their vignettes, get to know their vignettes, and that gives us time to go around the table and make sure the decision makers know what they're doing as well. So once they're spread out, you've got them around the 4 tables. They'll have to decide on the decision maker, and then the other people become homeless, and they're the ones that'll have to go table to table to pitch and try and find the resources and what they need. They'll be taking with them their character vignettes. These include a short story. On the right of these vignettes are the icons showing the resources and the skills in a solid line. And the ones they still need, the gaps, are the dashed line. So they'll have some things, but they'll need others. And at the bottom of the vignettes are the spaces for income and housing, and they'll have to go around and try to build up their income journey and build up their housing journey as well. And these are really important, and they bring the lived experiences to life. And they'll find they'll have to navigate all of these different tables and tell their story again and again. And that can be quite, you're kind of simulating that trauma of what people go through in real life. And that's very important that you highlight that's on purpose. It's meant to be a little bit frustrating. So you can reassure people. As facilitator, I will keep an eye on the room. And if anybody's sitting there looking not too sure, I'll kind of zoom in and explain. Some people will put their hand up and ask a question. That's great. And you can dot around them. But some people might feel a little bit unsure. And I listen out for when they're asking each other questions so I can swoop in and help them. They mainly just need, I find, when they've got their vignettes, pointing out the things they have and the things they don't have. That tends to be the first question that they have. But then after, again, turn one, they start to get used to where they need to go and they start to get competitive. And it's okay to kind of encourage them to be competitive. You'll find that some people will run up and try to get to the next table very quickly when they start to take their turns. The decision makers have a really important job. They have the resources that are available in each turn, and they have an allocation rules card. They have rules they have to follow, and that describes the criteria, and that's sometimes the hardest thing for them to get their head around. So you just need to, when you go around, gently point out what their criteria is and the resources they've got to give out. That criteria has to be satisfied before they give out those resources. And giving out the resources is easy peasy. They have to make sure the character sheet meets the criteria to receive the resources. They cross off the resource if they've given it out, and that other person gets their resource circled to show that they've got it. And you can only give out the resources from the current turn, and any resources left over from the previous turns, that's okay. Sometimes people need reassured. So once you're on to turn 2, for example, but some decision makers still have something left over from turn 1, that's okay to give that out. So the resources they have through the turns kind of roll over. They can give out the resources from previous turns if they haven't used it, but they sometimes just need reassurance. And I go around at turn 2 just to give that reassurance and point that out as well. So when the people receive those resources, that decision maker will circle the relevant icon when they've received it. And the people, you should be encouraging them to think about how that helped your character and what they need to do next. I tend to make people stay at the tables for each turn before, and then think about, once they've got what they need there or not got what they need there, what table they go to next, and they can go to any table they like. And the idea is you not to give out or tell them how the system works. It's meant to be a little bit frustrating, and people will ask you, where do I get this? And you can just say, oh, I'm not too sure. You have to find out, because this simulates the real life challenges of the system where nobody really knows how the system works. So each turn, the player characters pick one table, they move there, and decision makers stay at the table. Player characters explain their story and any needs, and decision makers allocate the resources. Players remain at the same table until the end of the turn, and the game will last 6 turns. And in this way, they'll start to navigate the system. You, as a facilitator, can time those turns. We tend to do 10 minutes a turn, but you do not have to be strict on that. What I tend to do is take a feel of the room of where things are. And if there's still people really caught up, just wait another couple of minutes. But sometimes you have to push them. So I would say, as a guide, think about turns lasting around 10 minutes, but it depends on the room, what kind of people you've got, if they need more time, or sometimes they even need less time. So you can take a little bit of a call. And in the slides, you'll have a turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and you can make a little bit of a play of that as a facilitator. At some point, you'll get the competitive people watching you of when you're going to go and change your slides like little meerkats, and you can kind of play that. What I tend to do as a facilitator, and this is getting some hints and tips, is to remember that you bring the energy to the room and people take their energy from you. So you want to be high energy. You want to be encouraging people, telling them they're doing a good job. They will worry about the game mechanics. Your main job is just to reassure them, you're doing great. And if people stray or do something slightly wrong in terms of the game mechanics, it doesn't matter. Your main job is actually just to get the feel of the room, make it flow, get the conversations happening, and if you're lucky, have a bit of fun along the way. So you can't really get this wrong. And then what you can do at the end is come together and bring a bit of discussion, and you can shape those discussions the way you want and what you want to focus on. We've got some suggested discussion questions, and we've also got a survey for people to fill out to highlight and gather any of the research impact. The QR code is on the slides that we've given you. And these are just things to guide the discussion. People will want to talk about their journeys. They'll want to talk about their stories once they're finished the game. But the idea is to do that high energy and keep the flow in the room going. As facilitator, home in on people that look a little bit unsure, and your main job is to be encouraging and reassuring. You'll be great, you got this. And then at the end of your facilitated serious game, you can obviously put, I'm now a games master on your CV. So good luck facilitators, and you can have fun too. We've now made an amazing kind of happy route in Socialudo, going around and playing games with people. There's nothing more amazing than seeing people have that paradigm shift by playing your serious games. You got this.